Shaking off the dust.
Welcome back to another episode of the Full Bean Show. And on today's show, we got AI racing. Penske is penalized. And is Georgina the new face of Indy?
Race 4. Connor Daly. No show. We're going to keep it going?
We're keeping going.
Keeping it going. I've even purchased a hat. A Connor Daly hat. To show how serious we are here on Full Beans.
We are committed to get Connor Daly
Committed.
on. So make sure you
everyone like and subscribe. Get us Connor Daly here. Get Connor Daly here.
Share this. Send this to Connor Daly. He needs to be here on the Full Bean Show. Because as we mentioned before, I watch his podcast, Speed Street Podcast, and he has a lot of great things to how to make IndyCar better.
And that's what we want here. Yeah. We want to make IndyCar better.
And then he knows a lot about the insides of Indy that we have questions about. So he can inform not just us, but the fans as well. So Connor Daly, if you're watching this, we would love to have you here at Full Beans.
Sweet home Alabama. Bing, 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 bing.
Welcome back to another episode of Full Beans. And on today's show, we're going to talk about AI racing. If you've never heard about that, it's this new experiment that the world of racing is trying to take on. And it kind of reminds me of David's... Well, actually, let me ask you a question, David. How did you do on your 8th grade science project?
Well, it didn't do what it was supposed to do.
Oh, no? So at least you are relating to the new AI racing that they're coming up with.
So we watched the new, what was it called? Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, it was called like AR, something AI or something like that.
Anyways, it was a racing league. I mean, it's a science project.
Yeah.
And everyone knows what it is. It's a science project. Four cars on track, fully autonomous. And it was a bit of a snooze fest.
It was.
But it was funny.
It was funny.
It was funny to watch the A2RL League.
There you go.
I think L might be league.
Yeah. It's
Abu Dhabi Autonomous Racing League.
It's a new racing league that it's starting up. And I know it's easy to hate on this thing because it was kind of kind of a circus.
It was circus, but to be expected,
It was. I mean, of course, it's brand new. AI is brand new to the world, and I thought everybody had kind of high hopes when I started watching this. I had high hopes of it being a good showing, tight battles, But
there was one impressive overtake.
There was a good spin out, interesting, exciting spin out, right? So it was good to see what's it called, technology moving forward as far as the world of racing. Don't know what else they're going to start doing, if more teams are going to go into this, or is there's going to be more races. I'm pretty sure there's going to be more races, right?
Well, it says annual, but anyways, enough AI. Let's get to the good stuff.
All right, let's get
to
the serious stuff.
Good news or bad news first?
I think the bad news. Let's get it out of
bad news.
Pull the Band-Aid out.
Team Penske, for the first time ever, were penalized and taken away the victory.
Heavily penalized.
For the St. Petersburg Grand Prix.
Yeah.
And you know who? Okay, we'll continue. We'll talk about that.
Okay. Yeah, so they got penalized for that. It was a heavy penalty they had to pay. They got disqualified from the...
It was Scott McLaughlin,
Will Power,
and then Joseph Newgarden.
Yeah, Newgarden.
Who was docked the win. Will Power and Joseph Newgarden disqualified from the race with, I think, Scott McLaughlin receiving a 10-point penalty.
But that put Scott McLaughlin all the way to the bottom of the championship.
Yeah, 29th. I don't know the number of racers because, like we've said on Indy, the number fluctuates.
We still don't fully understand the standings because, like we mentioned before, sometimes there's part-time racers. Are they in contention of the IndyCar championship or not? Yeah. So we're still trying to learn through that. But, yeah, he went to the bottom of the championship.
Went to the bottom. But Scott McLaughlin, I think, like I said, was least. So the penalty was for, let's talk about the penalty. The penalty was for access to the push to pass on a lap that should not have been available.
So on the first, I think it's like the first 2 laps.
Yeah. So in Indy, the rule is after a restart, for whatever reason, I think it's the first lap. There's no push to start available. Push to pass. Push to pass. They had access to it, and I don't know if they used. I think Newgarden used it. I don't know about. I'm not sure about Willpower and Scott McLaughlin. I don't know why Willpower was also disqualified, but Scott was only docked 10 points.
Yeah.
So that was the issue there.
Where something that you're saying right now that if they used it or not, like we mentioned before, Connor Daly, I watched his podcast and he was saying on that push to pass that as far as he does, and I'm pretty sure a lot of drivers do that, they always push it just like maybe it'll work or something, or the system kind of glitches out or something and it works out for them. That they always push it on the restart. For them
it
get
makes
hope,
sense. I get what you're saying. It makes sense because like when we're playing, like when we're doing the sim racing, you're hitting that DRS button.
Hoping
before you're hitting that DRS button before the DRS zone.
Yeah, you know it's not gonna open, but maybe something glitches out and you might get it to open, right?
But Newgarden, I don't know if you heard his comments. He was saying that they thought the rule had changed. This is what Newgarden was saying. They thought the rule had changed to allow for the push to pass to be accessible. Because in thermal, I believe the rule was there that they could use it immediately.
Yeah.
So, but thermal being a non-points race, more of an exhibition race,
it was something special.
It was different rules, and I guess they had convinced themselves that the rules had changed for all the races. So penalized heavily. We'll see how it goes. I mean, a lot of racers not happy about it.
Yeah.
Scott McLaughlin, Willpower, 2 of the guys that were penalized finished the race 1 and 2. Conspiracy hat. Did they do it again?
I don't know.
I don't think so. The eyes are on them, so I don't think so.
Props out to the Penske's team. They took it on the chin, the penalty.
Yeah,
they didn't petition it or anything like that. So they took the penalty and the consequences with it. So but this was a great weekend now for them to bounce back.
Moving on to the good news of this penalization.
Okay, go for it.
Who was given the win?
Oh, you're right. The driver who drives for the team with the Errol McLaren Pato Award with
taking the victory.
First victory of the season, the Mexican. Here we go. We're always supporting our Latino countrymen. I mean, of course, everybody else, but since we're here, full bean.
I don't know if we're allowed to say that. I mean, we're allowed, but I'm saying I don't know if it's good for the...
Whatever, but Viva Mexico and everything. They got their win. Not the way he wanted to, right?
Not the way he wanted, but he said a win is a win.
A win is a win. And especially in this racing world, yeah, a win is a win.
Take any advantage you can get.
Exactly. So
sadly, not so good this race.
No. This race was one to forget.
For him.
He qualified okay.
Qualifies okay.
But ends up towards the bottom.
He does a little to someone else.
He does.
He gets a little
deja vu from the last week's. So
Pato, I don't know. He seems to do this quite often where he gets good qualifying, and then I don't know if he's too anxious or he's too excited about the start of the race.
That's the feeling I'm getting. I feel like he's too like in Spanish, desesperado, too desperate to move forward very quickly. Doesn't want to stay behind anywhere. It
seems that he has to learn a little, mature, I guess. I mean, he's been in the season for quite a bit.
Yeah.
So you would think the maturity is there, but he does seem to
feels like he feels like there's a pressure on him for him to perform,
to lead the whole race rather than win the race. Because as we see last week, Scott Dixon, he starts in a horrible position.
Yeah. He
just keeps his head down, is concentrated on winning the race, and what does he do? He wins a race from 13th, whatever he was. He was
something like that.
I mean, like that's the maturity. Obviously, Scott being a veteran of the league, of the series.
Yeah.
So you see him you don't have to be the first one. You don't have to be in first the whole race.
Yeah, you just got to race your race and hopefully things will happen around you, in front of you, most likely. for you to be put in that position that you're first. And once you're in first, then you control that thing, and then your team is looking out for the back of the grid and seeing what else everybody else is doing, so they can make sure you take that victory home.
And obviously, auto receiving penalties and things like that is not helping you be in that position to take advantage of the yellows and cautions and whatever's going on.
Those opportunities that appear. But
so yeah.
Let's get on to Frankie, put up the notepad you had again, because this was something that was very interesting. Is Georgina the new face of Indy?
Is she the new face?
She did steal the show.
She had a bit of a show today.
Yeah, she made what do they call it, a cameo, or?
I guess a little cameo appearance.
Yeah, so do you know who Georgina is, David?
Well, I don't know who Georgina specifically is. If you haven't been to the track Barber, which I haven't been.
Me neither.
Apparently there's a lot of like eclectic art around the
I did notice
the course.
It's cool.
It looks funny. It looks interesting.
It does.
I would be interested to go. There's a big museum there.
Yeah.
Looks really interesting. I would love to go.
Big vehicle museum.
But Georgina, the woman, the myth, the legend.
Yeah.
Taking center stage and almost, as Scott McLaughlin put, almost ruined his race.
It almost ruined his race.
She is a mannequin that is hung from a bridge, which horrible placement to be hung from a bridge. To in the case of that you fall, you're on the track.
Yeah.
So she falls.
She fell.
And the first, when the camera goes to it, you don't know what there's a mannequin. You just see butt. You see a butt out.
Yeah.
And then someone runs over a hand.
Yeah.
So you don't know what's going on, and you see that it's a mannequin. I don't know how they got rid of the mannequin, because there was not a caution.
No. It was a funny thing to see.
Hilarious. I mean, I was like, there's lots of firsts in this race.
Yeah.
And that was definitely probably the top first of the race.
Yeah. So that has to be a top for
they have to change the Indy logo, put Georgina on there.
They do. Georgina,
or the hand.
Yeah, she's the new lady of
you think
Indy.
they're gonna put her up again in her spot?
Maybe.
I don't know.
They have to now, like,
at least move her over though, because she's like right. Like, just move her over.
Yeah. She felt like because she could have easily fallen and gone onto the track.
Yeah, the video of her falling is so funny.
Yeah. So, and then the video of her getting her hand chopped off.
Yeah, hand chopped off.
That was brutal.
Yeah.
Got freaking demolished. But
anyways, interesting race. Interesting race.
It was a good race.
Besides that, it was a good race. We saw lots of overtaking. Turn 5 needs to get a round of applause for turn 5.
Yeah.
I think. Turn 5, probably, I mean, it's been one of the most eventful turns I've seen in a long time.
Dude, this was a tough track for the racers, dude. It didn't look like there was one driver out there that really had this track under their belt. Everybody was struggling and trying.
I think Scott had other than the safety car that put him out of contention for a little bit, I think Scott looked pretty solid all weekend. During the race.
Yeah.
Turn 5 seems a little tricky because it's an off camber. It's an off camber kind of a hairpin. So it caused lots of drama. Lots of collisions, lots of coming off the track.
Yeah.
Probably one of the best turns to sit at if you're at the event. I don't know if there's a grandstand nearby, but if there shouldn't, they should definitely put a grandstand right there.
Yeah. This is one of the things now that we're watching IndyCar is, like, besides Long Beach and maybe the Indy 500, the other tracks that I've seen, there isn't a lot of grandstands on. There's a lot of just like grassy knolls where you just set up your lawn chair and go and sit down.
Yeah, I mean, I think the tracks, they're not as obviously they're like F1 has like stadium style tracks, right?
Yeah.
Where there's like just a massive amount of grandstands and but hopefully we can get those numbers up. They'll have to put in grandstands.
Yep. And they named one of the grandstands Full Beans there.
We'll take one in Long Beach.
Yeah.
at our home Grand Prix.
Sitting at the Full Beans grandstand.
Yeah, we'll give out little hats or something.
Yeah, a lot of cautions, like we saw. It threw up a lot of mixed strategies that people were trying.
That's one thing that I feel like Indy does more. There seems to be commonly 2 strategies for a race. And I think it's interesting because, you don't know. And then, like we were watching, like one strategy is being favored. Like it's looking at if you're looking at the timing and everything.
Yeah.
One strategy looks favored. Then there's a caution, and then it flips. The other strategy is favored, which I think is normally. I guess if you've watched F1, if you're trying to make the change or bridge over to Indy, in F1 usually it only a couple of the drivers are on the alternate strategy.
Yeah.
And like only a couple of them are favored or they benefit from like a yellow flag or like a safety car.
Yeah.
Where here it's like half the pack will be benefit, half the pack won't be. So I mean, like as we've been saying, the competition of Indy is higher. We don't know. You don't know who's gonna win. Like Scott McLaughlin was dead last in the standings.
Yeah.
And he takes victory today, going back to back, Alabama Grand Prix.
Yeah. It was a good day for him. Sucky going into the starting the week like on bad news for him with the penalty, and then for him to bounce back, this victory must be like means a lot, especially with that penalty drama going on. But what something I was gonna mention right now about the two strategies that you mentioned.
Yeah, the
one strategy was on the 3-stopper, and I think that was the one that Scott McLaughlin and Will Power were doing. And the second one was this 2-stopper, but the problem with this 2-stopper is they were saving a lot of fuel, and that's where Alex Palou was. He couldn't push as hard, and he couldn't fight Scott McLaughlin and Will Power towards the end because he had to save that fuel, and he couldn't do a Scott Dixon like last week. And once that last caution came out, it could have helped Alex Palou, but
yeah, that last caution. That's what I mean. If what was funny is that last caution kills kind of like those 2-stoppers.
Mm-hmm.
But then if the Georgina's caution would have happened, like what I'm saying, it would have flipped. And now all the people on those strategy, it would have favored them. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting about Indy that you really don't know who's going to win. There's a lot of overtaking. There's a lot of passing, which we've said this before. It is kind of confusing if you're watching and you don't.
It was.
Like we've talked about maybe simplifying some things like livery, team liveries, the number of people per team, things like that.
Yeah.
Because it is confusing because
Alex Palou in this one was in a green car, and last week he was in the yellow car. I think he was in a yellow blue car. So that's something if you didn't know, you're like, where is he at?
Yeah. So that's a little confusing because I mean, like watching. I mean, even us here, like we have a difficulty with keeping up with who's who, where are they on the track, what's their pit strategy. So like you kind of are like, oh, how did this guy get in first? You know.
Yeah.
So it's a little confusing, but I think obviously you watch more. I'm feeling more comfortable with it. But I think to help we're trying to grow, right? Trying to grow the fan base. You're trying to make it. We've seen the boom of F1 here in the States, and like. If those people are interested in racing, like, well, there's one here in our backyard, you know, there's the league, the series is based here. So if you can kind of, you know, you don't gotta like, there's cool things about Indy, right? Like that they're different, right? They don't got DRS, they have push to pass. They don't do standing starts, they do rolling starts. And the cars are all pretty much, they're very similar throughout the pack.
About the rolling start.
Oh,
want to talk
back
about
to our rolling starts.
Yeah.
To show that we pay attention to our comments, we're reading them.
We're looking at you.
We're looking at them.
We're looking at you.
And it played perfectly because Santino Ferrucci had the odd, I guess, misfire of not restarting the race correctly.
Yeah. A little new to being, in front of the pack.
Yeah, he said himself, well, at least they quoted him over the radio saying like, oh, I'm sorry, guys, it's my first time leading a race. So like, at least starting a race. So we had a commenter asking, the rolling starts, when they say green, 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 does that mean everyone goes or do they have to wait till they cross the line? So there's a little bit of a convoluted answer here.
Yeah. So we couldn't come to a very confident decision on what this answer is.
This is our best interpretation
exactly
of the rule and the law.
And as more as you get into racing and more incidents happens, you'll get to see that even with teams that are reading they have people that read the freaking rule book, sometimes they interpret the rules a little different than another team, right? So here at Full Beans.
If we're believing Newgarden's, what he comes out to say, that they interpreted the rules wrong.
Exactly. So this is our answer here with full beans of how we read the official IndyCar rolling start.
Well, starts and restarts.
Starts and restarts. This is our interpretation of how they're doing.
So
Take
starts.
it away, David.
Well, I'll try to cover starts. So starts. It's a rolling start, as we said. The cars start 2 by 2 in their grid order. The leader of the race is then given the go-ahead, the green flag.
Uh-huh.
Now, the cars will accelerate to pace, but there's no overtaking until you cross the finish line because they, as we were saying, it's a rolling start. So they're accelerating on the last turn. They're already coming to full speed. Once they cross the finish line, that's when overtaking can happen. That's when, racing officially begins. So that's on the starts.
That's on the starts, okay.
Restarts.
Putting me on the spot now, huh? Okay, so now on the restarts, everybody is filed up, single filed line, and no one is allowed to overtake as well, and they get up to what is called a restart cone. And at this restart cone is where the leader starts to speed up to racing speed. And once it's green conditions, then they're go. And then after they pass the race line, they're allowed to overtake.
That last point that you said is where we're a little confused. If on the restarts, once they go green, can they race on the restarts? Because like I was saying on the starts, green means go up to drive to pace.
To racing speed.
Once you cross the line, that's when you can overtake. That's when you do moves. So that's where our little bit of our interpretation is that on the restarts, we're not sure where exactly you can start overtaking.
Because there's a on the restart, that restart cone, that's when you start accelerating, right?
That's when you hit go, which Santino Ferrucci, I believe, I don't know if he started before or after the zone, but he did it wrong. So like we're saying, even the racers themselves do it wrong.
Yeah.
He did it wrong. They abandoned that start, and then he had another go.
Yeah, it's weird how this stuff is not literally black and white, dude. It should be, because it's not that big of a thing, you know. There's not too many things like.
Yeah, there's not too many things, and it's something that happens very often.
Exactly.
Obviously, there's a start, which I think we're more confident on what happens at the starts, and then obviously there's a start every race. There's not exactly a restart at every. Well, there doesn't have to be a restart at every race.
Yeah.
But I mean, F1, I think we kind of understand the procedure more. I don't know if we've just been explained it more.
I bet you if we read that F1, we'll
probably
get the same
that's true. That's
thing,
true.
dude. So hopefully we answered your question.
So keep commenting. We'll try to answer everything. We try to get to all the comments.
Yeah. Make sure you like,
subscribe.
That helps a lot. So
keep us going.
Yeah. So yeah, hopefully that was a good enough answer, because it was a head scratcher for us, even on a simple freaking start and restart procedure. It was I think besides the standings, I think it was, like I said, good bounce back for Penske Racing.
Impressive performance from can you go to the final to the results? To Lundqvist, he's a rookie.
Oh, he's a rookie.
He's a rookie. He finished on podium.
That's impressive.
His first podium. So that was really impressive. Felix Rosenqvist,
still
full beans favorite here.
Let's go, Felix.
He moved up, I think, one spot.
Yeah. But he's finished top 5 in every race now?
Top 10. He's finished top 10 in every race.
Okay, top 10.
He's currently, Frankie, can you pull up the driver standings? He's doing pretty good there. No, that's the qualifying.
You have to go back to that website, Frankie.
So yeah, he's doing good. Full beans favorite. He passes him up on the first lap after the restart, after that last.
Yeah.
Passes Pillow. And then so it's a good showing from him. Colton currently leading the standings.
The homeboy, Colton.
Another full beans favorite here.
Yeah. Colton.
Yeah.
Man, Will Power, look at that. After having that freaking penalty, and he's
1 point.
And now he's second in the championship, dude. Yeah. So impressive. Look at the
Rosenqvist 5th.
still has a chance, dude. Rosenquist.
It's still tight, still tight up
Yeah.
at the standings. Anything could happen.
Yeah.
Excited for the season. Looks like it's going to continue to be a good season.
Yeah, it looks like it's gonna be a good season as far as like different drivers going up there and stuff like that. So yeah, excited. The next one is going to be, I think it's gonna be, I know what it is. It's gonna be the Indy one, but not the Indy 500. It's gonna be the Indy
street course.
Yeah, so it's
road
the
course.
it's
road
the
course.
Indy Grand Prix.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's the Indy road course. It's at Indianapolis.
Yes.
So
Congratulations.
I'm sorry, that's a big word for me. But
I'm not very big on words here at Full Beans. Kind of crazy if we're talking all the time.
But
Anyways.
it should be a good one. I think that's it from me. I don't have anything else that much.
I think that wraps up the children's. What is it? The children's
Alabama Grand Prix or something like that.
Children's
Children's
of Alabama Indy Grand Prix.
And with that, sweet home
Alabama. Bing, 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 bing,
That's everything here from Full Beans. We'll see you later. Good night.
That 5 seconds was so long.
Oh my god, bro. I'm so happy I wasn't the only one dying of laughter inside, bro. Why is this so funny?
It's so long, dude. Oh my gosh.
Forever.
Oh my god.
Bro, you almost made it. Like you stopped at
It
the
was
1
literally
second.
right at the
Yeah, it was.
right at the 5 seconds.
Oh.
I was like, I was dying of laughter inside, and I was like, okay, I can hold it. And this one just started laughing. It was so
Oh gosh.